My name is Matt Bear. I'm the founder of Q4Launch. We are excited that you all are joining us today as we dive into the HomeAway/VRBO shaking up the industry with huge new fees. This news broke on Thursday afternoon, and from Thursday late afternoon, evening to Friday all day, my phone and email box was blowing up. Many of you reaching out, asking questions. What do you know? What do you know? What do you know? What can you help us with? How can you share information? To many of our customers asking similar questions. So I think I've replied to everybody that reached out directly. Thank you for that. Thank you as well for many of you that have shared some information as you've gathered it from your account managers and so forth to help us prepare for today. We've been working closely with many vacational managers across the industry to pull together the information we're going to share with you today, as well as with Amy Highnote from VRM Intel, as well as several of the leadership of several other property management software companies around the industry. So it's been an all hands on deck effort to try to pull together this information up to about midnight last night, which is where I think I finalized my content and sent it over to my design team to put the Prezi together today. So it's all very fresh. And as you're going to hear in a minute, there's still a lot more questions than we have answers. We talked to our staff about this and our all staff on Monday to bring them up to speed so they can help educate their customers individually. But there's more questions than we have answers. So with that, we're going to dive straight into our content. We're going to do a Q&A session best I can at the end of our time together today. Should be about probably 30 minutes together to cover the topic and what we know, why they're making the changes they're making, in our opinion, and what you can do about it. I will say everything we're going to talk about today, there is some facts like in this. There's a lot of fact actually, and it's fact best we know the facts. But then all of the why are they doing it and what should you do about it is personal opinions. And those are my opinions as the leader of our organization and serving so many vacational managers and some ideas hopefully for you to walk away from. Because it's one thing to learn what's going on. It's a whole nother to say, okay, now what do I do? And we want to help you with both those things. Learn about it, but then understand now what do I do? So we're going to dive into both those things today as we move through our time together. But I want you to make sure some of that's fact and then some of that is just my opinion. And you can take that or leave it for what it's worth. So this is what we know so far. We're going to cover that. As I said, there's still way more questions than answers. And I cannot guarantee the accuracy of anything I'm going to tell you today. It is the best that I know in a short period of time. And even talking to several HomeAway employees, there's just a lot of things they don't have answers to right now. So that's the same is true for us. So we'll answer your questions best we can, hopefully help you on the road to a game plan moving forward. But please verify any information with your HomeAway account manager. Obviously, it's their company, it's their policies, so they're going to be the best source of that information and making sure of separating fact from fiction, because in the information we've gathered, there are conflicting messages on certain parts. Anything that we have conflicting information on, I tried not to include today. The things we included today are only things that I believe are verified, but again, there's more questions than answers, so we don't know 100% for sure either. So make sure that you verify the information with your HomeAway account manager and always ask them for the most up-to-date information. So there were actually two major announcements, one that's going to impact the entire industry and another that's only going to impact HomeAway software customers best we understand. And we're going to dive into those as two separate things today. One email that was sent out last week, but two separate issues addressed in that. The first is that subscription prices are increasing to $499 and they're eliminating volume pricing. We'll dive into that at the top of our hour because that impacts the largest number of people on today's webinar probably. And then the second, HomeAway is implementing what's been coined matchback to charge a 10% commission on off-platform bookings. Any bookings they believe originated on platform or searches or travelers and ended up making a booking off-platform. Now there's a lot of debate about the term originated on platform as well, and we'll dive a little bit into that as we address the second part of their announcement last week in implementing matchback. So let's dive into number one. Subscription fees are increasing to $499, which for many of our customers is as much as 47%. I think obviously moving a list price from $399 to $499, that's big news in and of itself. That's a 25% increase going from $399 to $499. But if you had volume price many of our customers had volume pricing at $339 per listing, and that volume pricing discount is being eliminated. So if you had volume pricing and say you were paying $399, that moves up to $499. That's a 47% increase. And if you have, I think the average vacation rental company, and I don't know, there's no true average, but say you had 200 properties under management, that increase, that 47% increase, is a huge number. And that's different for everybody. I just had a comment in the chat panel that somebody's increase is 56% due to the drop in volume pricing discount. So in that case, that vacation rental manager must have had a stronger discount already built in than this example we're talking about. But I don't think very many people at this time of year were prepared to hear there was going to be a 47%, or in this other property manager who commented in the chat panel, 56%, or even a 25%. Maybe you only have 10 platforms or 10 properties on the platform, and you don't get volume pricing. But you were paying the $399, a 25% increase at the final hour of budgeting hour for 2018. Many of our customers sent out their agreement over the summer and in the beginning of fall for 2018. So they've already finalized all their pricing with their homeowners for 2018. And to hear this is the last hour, I think, was a shock to a lot of people and very frustrating to a lot of people. And as best we know, according to the email, this goes into effect January 12th, 2018. So, not a ton of notice on how to build a game plan for what to do about this price increase, but a huge deal if you have a significant number of VRBO listings, something you really got to account for from a budget perspective or make other plans for. So why the change, right? Why the change? What were they looking at when they made this change? First of all, it's because they can, right? I mean, they believe they are providing more value than they're getting paid for, and they can raise the price to $499 and no one will cancel their subscriptions. I can tell you from many of the conversations I've had in the last few days, that's not true. Many people are kind of at the end of the rope with that and saying we're not going to renew under this new $499. Honestly, I think the second update, the 10% commission one, is a bigger deal, but they can. And if you were on our webinar a few weeks ago, where we talked about the third quarter earnings call from Expedia, I said on that call, be prepared for more fees to come. I didn't know how fast I was going to be right. I didn't realize that just 3 weeks later, I was going to be leading another webinar and talking about these changes and saying, hey, we told you so, but we warned you just a few weeks ago to expect more HomeAway fees soon. That's been the model. Expedia is milking profit out of this HomeAway company that they bought, right? I mean, that's what's happening. If you were on that call as well, you heard us quote these statistics. In the third quarter of the year, HomeAway posted a $126 million EBITDA, or earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, on $305 million in revenue. $126 million of profit, essentially, on $305 million in revenue. Both of those, profit and revenue, were huge growths over 2016. And if you look at it, 126 million on 305 million is a 41% profit margin. I don't know very many companies of this size running a 41% profit margin. So Expedia had a rough quarter from an overall profitability perspective, and they cut their ratings. But if you look at HomeAway as a part of the larger umbrella, it is a massive profit center, and they are squeezing profit out of this in a huge way. When they look at that and the understanding more of why did they make this change, transaction revenue grew by 116% year over year in the third quarter of this year. So transaction revenue, different than subscription revenue. Subscription revenue actually decreased in the third quarter of this year, and they didn't seem upset about that. Now, this change is going to drive subscription revenue back up again, but really what's happening here and why they're doing this, what we believe is happening, is they're pushing towards a pay-per-booking world. They made it very clear on the third quarter's earnings call that the future of the platform, the future of their marketplace, was a pay-per-booking marketplace. If you go back and you listen to that webinar or you read the comments from the third quarter's earnings call, you'll see that in their CEO's comments. They're pushing towards a pay-per-booking world, and I think one of the ways they're doing that is they're increasing subscription costs. They're going to increase subscription costs to get them more in line with what you would be paying if you were on pay-per booking for the average property. So when they switch it to pay-per booking in the future, whenever that happens, whether that's later this year or next year, when they switch it to pay-per booking, it's not as alarming. Because you're like, well, I'm already paying X, so I'll just be paying Y with pay-per booking, but it's not going to raise my cost that much. So they're getting you there by making small incremental changes. This isn't necessarily a small change, but it's smaller than going straight to pay-per booking. So we think that's what they're ultimately setting up to do here. It's another move on the chessboard to get to a pay-per booking world. So what can you do about it, right? I mean, that's the most important thing. You can't change this. They're not going to go back on it. They're not going to say, oh, we don't want to make more money. Trust me, they're not going to say that. But what can you do about it? From what we know, you can renew your listings early to lock in your price for another year. So that's an option. You can renew listings early before the January 12th deadline to lock in your current pricing for another year. You can purchase new listings now for properties that you plan to load. So if you're getting close to some homeowners and you know they're about to come on, you can go ahead and buy those subscriptions before January 12th to lock in your current price on those subscriptions. But no, if you do that, the clock starts ticking on that subscription the day you buy it, not the day you load it and go live. It's the day you buy it that the clock starts to tick on that. So you've got to balance that out. How much time am I going to waste on the subscription while I'm waiting to get that information there? One of the other things you can do, and several things we've heard from people, is that they're just going to drop their listing. Like, they are just not going to spend this money. And if you're thinking about that, what I would encourage you to do is to invest in your own marketing. And I think that's the biggest takeaway as we talk about this is you are spending massive amounts of dollars investing into HomeAway's marketplace, and you're feeding their marketing kitty to grow the HomeAway and ultimately the Expedia brand, while at the same time not investing in your own marketing. And if you're going to succeed in the future, if you're going to succeed in this marketplace world and reduce your dependency on OTAs or online travel agents or third-party marketplaces, you have to invest in your own marketing. You have to get to a point where say, I'm not willing to give away any more of my marketing budget. I'm going to spend that money and investing it in my own marketplace. And that's not an overnight thing. I'm not saying you should cold turkey drop all your listings and start investing in your own, we would say, brand.com marketing. What I would do is start that transition over a period of time. I would probably start dropping listings and start reallocating that budget into my own marketing, into my own website, my own email, my own social media, my own blog strategy, my own content marketing strategy. I would start building those things and reallocating my marketing budget away from third-party OTAs and into investing into your brand. Because at the end of the day, your brand is what has value. Your brand is what people are buying when they look at your company. Just to say you have properties on VRBO and that's where you get your revenue or your listings from doesn't differentiate you. Any vacation rental company in the world can throw up a website, put a logo on it, call themselves vacation rental managers, and put properties on VRBO. That is not a competitive advantage. And as you're looking to bring on more homeowners in your marketplace as well, because that's one of the top questions we get, how do we bring on more homeowners? As you're looking to do that, the number one way you can do that is have a really strong brand and a really strong marketing plan. If you're meeting with a prospective homeowner and you put your properties on VRBO and that's your marketing strategy, they sit down and they say, hey, John, tell me about your marketing plan. What's that look like? How are you going to market my property? And your response is, well, I'll put your property on HomeAway. I'll put your property on VRBO. I'll put your property on Airbnb. That is zero competitive advantage. Anyone can do that. But if you say, this is my marketing plan, and you talk about the things you're doing, and you show them the things you're doing, and you show them the analytics behind how it's performing. And by the way, I also list on some of these third-party sites, but I don't do a ton of it because I don't need to because we're driving so much direct business. That's a competitive advantage. That will win you more homeowner contracts than the person who says, my marketing plan is to put you on third-party distributions, HomeAway, VRBO, Airbnb, fill in the blank. It's not a competitive advantage. So as you're thinking about where to invest and you're thinking about what that investment does for your company, taking this opportunity, this wake-up call to say, okay, I'm not gonna play that game anymore. I'm gonna make the investment my own. This is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back for me, and I'm gonna start investing and build a transition process to do that. And that's something we can help you understand how to do. It's not a cold turkey thing. We don't stop smoking overnight. although maybe some of you have. But we don't do that. Like we transition to that, and we can help you figure out how to do that effectively. We help a lot of customers reduce dependency on third-party distribution or eliminate it altogether, and can help you figure out a strategy to do that. The other thing you can theoretically do, and some of our customers already do this, but is to pass this expense on to owners. So they actually have their owners pay their HomeAway VRBO fees. If you do that, that's great. And passing a price increase of $160 to one owner for their one property is probably less noticeable than you bearing that cost across all your properties. The first year you do that's going to be tough, because if you haven't done it and then you do it now, it's not a $160 increase, it's a $499 increase, because you got from 0 to $499. If you do that, I would encourage you to phrase that as a marketing fee. And you can show them what you do with that marketing fee. You can say, hey, this is to put your property on HomeAway and VRBO. But by saying it's a marketing fee, I think it sets you up for, in the future, continuing to charge them that $500 or whatever you decide to charge them, but reallocate those dollars. So if you position it as a marketing fee, and this is what we're spending it on, you have the opportunity to decide to spend that somewhere else. So a year from now, let's say you decide you want to drop your listings, you might leave that $500 marketing fee in your owner contract, but you reallocate that marketing expense from HomeAway VRBO into your own brand marketing. And that fee continues to be in your contract, even though you've reallocated how those dollars are spent. And it's your decision as the business owner how those dollars are best allocated. And if they ask you about it, just say, hey, we don't have to do that anymore, because we're investing into building the brand to get more direct bookings. And here's the advantage to you, Mr. Homeowner, of why that's better for you in the long run. So I think there's several opportunities to do things there, and probably do your contracts a little bit different to set you up for success in the future if you're passing these expenses onto the homeowners. So let's talk about change number 2. Honestly, I think this was the most shocking change for all the people that we talked about. And that's this, that HomeAway is implementing matchback. It essentially is a 10% commission on any off-platform booking they believe originated on the HomeAway platform. A lot of my original questions were, how are they going to determine that? And there's still a lot of questions around that. We've gotten some clarity around it. It's still not as clear as I think it should be to make a statement like that. But they're going to charge 10% of pre-tax total charged to the traveler. 10% of the pre-tax total charged to the traveler. So any fees, cleaning fees, any fees that are rolled into that are in that pre-tax total charged to the traveler. That 10% commission will be paid by the property manager for any bookings that they believe originated on platform and booked off platform. This will apply to any new subscriptions or existing subscriptions with an annual subscription term on or after March 15th, 2018. So any new or existing subscriptions with renewal dates, which makes your annual subscription term on or after March 15th, 2008. You'll be required to sign new terms of service to say that they can do this. And from what we can tell, you'll be required to put a credit card down to pay this fee. So they will charge that credit card if they match that fee. Renewing early does not change your annual subscription term date. So I said earlier, you can renew early to avoid the price increase on subscriptions. That strategy will not change this for you. It does not change matchback. If you're renewing early, but your annual subscription term date is after March 15th, according to what we know, they will go ahead and ask you to sign the terms of service and treat it as if the early renewal will only get you the advantage of the price. It won't help you avoid this matchback. So some more information on this. From what we know right now, this only applies to HomeAway software customers. They're looking into Escapia V12 and can see bookings they believe originated on their platform and book direct with you. So it only applies to HomeAway software customers because they don't have a way to do that for people on other property management softwares. And this match, this is one of the biggest questions I had. This match is based on guest email address and similar date searches. That's the most clarity I've got on that, similar date searches. So if somebody searched October and they on the platform, and then they came and they booked direct with you for March, to me that's not similar, but I can't tell you if HomeAway thinks that's similar. The other thing that says to me, if someone searches for a vacation rental this year books this year, but next year doesn't go to HomeAway and they book direct with you and only you, they don't go to HomeAway, they don't search those dates at all, then that shouldn't be under this, but I can't tell you if it is or not, because in my opinion, that is not similar. That's a year later. I can't tell you whether they do that or not. If they go to HomeAway and they search for properties and then they remember you because they get an email from you or anything else, maybe they didn't even look at one of your properties. They remember you, they get your email, and they leave HomeAway and they come book direct with you, you will get charged on that because the guest email address matches a HomeAway guest and the similar date search matches. So that to me is a huge problem, because to say that just because someone searched on your platform, you should be able to charge me, to me is an extreme overreach of their, of ownership of that guest. There are so many things, that can happen, so many places that a guest goes when they're doing a search. There's so much email going out to guests to get them to come back and check us out direct. It doesn't mean that people won't go to HomeAway and look, but we want them to book with us. So they might not even look at your property there, but they end up booking with you. You could get charged for that person, which to me is a way overreach. You need to be more clear. You need to hone in and absolutely matter of fact say, we know we produced this booking for you. And if they can't do that, I mean, legally they can charge this, but it's a way overreach. And you've got, from what we know, your HomeAway account manager, not your Q4 Launch account manager. I know we have a lot of customers on this call, but your HomeAway account manager can currently run a report for you on bookings that would be subject to matchback if it was in place now. So they have a way to currently run this report. Can't tell you exactly how they do it. From what I've gathered, their own people can't even tell you exactly how they would do it. They just have a report they can run that will tell you what bookings would be subject to matchback if it was in place right now. And from what we've been able to gather so far, it impacts roughly 10% of bookings. So 10% of bookings fall under this caveat, which is a pretty significant portion when you think about paying 10% on 10% of your bookings gross revenue. It's a huge number. Got a couple questions in the chat panel. Can you repeat that, please? And I'm not sure where I was and what I was talking about when you asked me to repeat it. So I apologize. I'm not going to be able to repeat that matter of factly because I'm not sure what you were asking about. I'm getting lots of interaction in the chat panel, which is great. I'll do my best to get to that at the end of our time together today, or address things as they come up. So why the change? They're trying to overcome the growth in book direct messaging. There's been a massive growth in book direct messaging, of course, as you can expect with the service fee they've rolled out. They are, quote unquote, losing millions of dollars in service fees when guests book direct with you. And they're trying to recapture those millions of dollars they're losing. Those millions of dollars they're losing are pure profit, which they believe they've already earned. They've earned it because they believe they've driven that booking. Whether or not they have or not is debatable, but they believe they have, so they've already earned it. They've already done the work. Recapturing that makes it pure profit for them, aka it goes straight to the bottom line and will increase that 41% profit margin they already have based on their third quarter's earnings. And from my history with OTAs, this is an unprecedented move by an OTA. I've never seen an OTA make this type of reach. It's actually OTAs have gone on the books to say, we produce the billboard effect, and that's an added value of listing with us. The billboard effect being people see you on our platform and then they book direct with you, and we have no way to bill you for those people, and that's just an added benefit. Now there's all other data that says the billboard effect's not real, and that's kind of a farce that the OTAs invented to try to sell people on using their platforms. We don't have time to dive into that today. But it's an unprecedented move by an OTA to say that just because someone was on our platform and then they went and booked with you, we can charge you a fee for that. And it's only possible in this case because they have access to your guest and your booking data. It's only possible because the company who owns the OTA also owns the software you're using. Best I can tell. No other OTA that I can think of has that transparency into being able to make that match, or what they're calling matchback, to be able to do that. So it's an unprecedented move that, in my opinion, is a way overreach of their power, but they made it very clear they think they can do that. So what can you do about it? You can send guests back to HomeAway's platform to book. You absolutely can, and that's what they will tell you to do about it. Honestly, you might need to do that. It's better to do that than you be responsible. You would rather that the guests pay the 6% service fee than you pay a 10% commission on the backside when they match it. That's a problem. The challenge is you don't necessarily know who you need to send back because some of their matches may not be correct matches. Some of their matches might be people that were searching on HomeAway but stayed with you last year, decided not to book one of the properties they found on HomeAway, get your email campaign, come back to your website, make a booking, but because at some point in that journey they were on HomeAway, HomeAway matches that, even though they're not responsible for that booking. Your email marketing campaign was, or your brand experience was, or whatever you attribute that to. That's my understanding. They may have a better, more foolproof way of doing this matchback than I'm aware of, but that's my understanding at this point. So the risk there is you may send guests back to HomeAway that originated on HomeAway, but you may still end up with people that book direct with you through an email campaign or something else that get matched back, and you're charged on those. And that's a huge problem, in my opinion. You can ask guests to provide a different email address. I've heard that idea floating around a few times as well, and say, hey, to help us avoid this matchback, can you give us a different email address? Honestly, if you're a small company, that will probably work for you. But if you're a large company, that probably won't work for you. And either way, no matter how big you are, it's going to feel a little bit odd to the guest. In a time where everyone is super sensitive to internet fraud, it's going to feel weird to the guest when you say, hey, can you not use that email address? Like, I know that's your email, but can you not use that? It's just going to make you feel slightly shady. So I don't know that that's a good solution for you. One of the other options, switch PMS software. We've had this conversation with a lot of customers, and I'm not saying it's right for you. You have to figure that out. But we've had this conversation with a lot of our customers lately that maybe this means they need to switch PMS software. It won't protect you from the first one, but it can protect you from matchback, again, best as we understand it. Best we know is only applies to Escapia and V12 customers because it's only possible because they have the ability to look into your booking data. So switching PMS software would solve that. And if I was in charge of HomeAway software, I'd be furious about this change because to me, it's going to drive a ton of people away from HomeAway software. It's going to drive a ton of customers away from HomeAway software, and it's going to make it harder to get new customers to come on to HomeAway software. So I'm not that guy, fortunately, for me, but I would be frustrated, and I'm sure there's, some account for that within their internal deal. But it's going to make it harder for HomeAway software, to wow people and do a great job because this issue only applies to them. Again, best we understand, it only applies to them. So you've got to think about that. If you've been on the fence about switching, this may be, again, the straw that broke the camel's back for you. I know that's a big move. I wouldn't take that lightly. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But this might be the thing that says, okay, we need to make a change here. And several questions about individual PMSs in our system. From what we know, this only applies to Escapia and V12 again. And then there was a question about which platform should we use. There's tons of great ones out there. I'm not necessarily going to tell you exactly which one you should use. Hopefully we can circle back to those questions here as well, and get those questions answered for you. So a quick snapshot, just as we look at the money grab that's happened for HomeAway since Expedia bought it. And a big shout out to Amy Highnote from VR Mintel. This graphic is actually a graphic she produced in her blog on this subject. And as I mentioned, we're working closely with a lot of people around the industry. But if you look at a sample company managing 250 properties using HomeAway software, and you look at all of the statistics on this chart, and I'm not going to go over it in depth. You can definitely check out VR Mintel to find more information about this. But HomeAway as a company, off of a 250 property vacation rental management company, is making, according to Amy's estimation, $1,718,000 off of you and your properties. They're making $718,000 off of your company. That is an staggering number. And if you look at how it breaks down, $124,000 from subscription fee revenue, $450,000 from guest fees, service fees. That's the profit center. That's why Expedia bought HomeAway, was that service fee. $114,000 additional revenue in matchback, and then $30,000 in their software revenue. So put all that together, there's a couple things. One, it's all about the guest fees. It's all about fee, and being able to fee this revenue. It's massive profit center. But two, when you look at HomeAway software in that grand scheme, $30,000 on a $718,000 relationship, that's revenue I would be willing to lose if I was HomeAway. I would be willing to lose my software revenue to gain other revenue. Now, if they lose that, they probably lose their matchback as well. But think about where they're going as a company. I don't know, and I wouldn't have said this a month ago, but I don't know that their software part of their company lines up with where they're headed as a larger Expedia brand. That's their strategy. That's just my opinion on where I think their strategy is going based off all the moves they're making. And this move sends a really clear picture to me that they don't value their software customers, because if they did, they wouldn't be doing something that was so blatantly only negatively impacting their software customers. So that's a problem. It's something you've got to think about if you're in that place. So what now? This is a bold move that makes an extremely clear statement that HomeAway sees their future as a marketplace. To us, it's a clear intermediary step away from the subscription model of the past and towards an exclusive pay-per-booking future that may be the 10%. They may charge 10% of all bookings in the future. Matchback goes away, they just charge 10% of all bookings. Maybe Matchback doesn't go away. I don't know. But we believe it's an intermediary step towards pay-per-booking as the future of their platform, and all the moves they're making make that very, very clear. If you're in a place that you're not ready for a pay-per-booking world, we said this on about every webinar lately, it seems like, but if you're not ready for a pay-per-booking world, this is your last wake-up call. We don't know when they're going to change to an exclusive pay-per-booking world. I was surprised to see that they were going to make a change to subscription pricing, because I really thought they were going to do away with it. But I think this is just one more step. They're trying to make incremental steps towards that. So when they make that change, it doesn't feel as bad. Just death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of scenario. So you've got to get ready. You have to have a strategy for a pay-per-booking world. So if you need help figuring that out, we want to stand in that gap with you. We want to help you develop a 2018 marketing plan, and we will do that through our 2018 marketing plan consultation. We're going to launch a poll on the screen right now. So if you'd like to take advantage of a free marketing consultation from us, by all means, just check yes, please get in touch, and we'll follow up with you to do that marketing consultation. But on those calls, we'll help you analyze where you currently stand in your marketing efforts. In your efforts to drive direct bookings, how are you currently doing? We'll help you understand that. We'll help you benchmark yourself against our industry data, and we'll share strategies that have led our customers to significantly reduce and in some case eliminate their dependency on HomeAway. So if you want to take advantage of that free 2018 marketing plan consultation, just click yes on the screen. We don't care which one you click. If you want help, we want to help you guys take next steps. If you don't, just check no, no big deal. But we do need to get about 70% of people voted in the poll to be able to close the poll out and move on. So check yes or no. Yes, please get in touch. I want help with the 2018 marketing plan consultation, or no, thank you. And no, thank you. If you feel like you're in a good place, that's awesome. You've got your 2018 marketing plan in place and ready to go. So I'm going to jump into the chat panel here while a few people are responding to that poll. We got about 61% voted, so you need to pick up some more votes on that poll so that I can get that closed out. So just check yes or no, and I'm going to jump in the chat panel here or our question box and answer as much as I can for you. All right, starting at the top here, it keeps moving down as people add more and more questions, but I'm going to do my best to get everybody. Question here, VR seems to be wanting to incent PMs to go pay-per-booking. I don't know if that's a statement or a question. It's got a question mark on it, but yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that statement. Another question here, you can lock in your subscription price, but that will not protect you from matchback. You're 100% right. I think you commented on that before we got to that part of the presentation. Is matchback going to be applied only to pay-per-booking listings or also subscription listings? Great question, Lloyd. I don't know the answer to that question. On that, it's just a good question. My guess is it will be applied across the board if you're using HomeAway software. That if they, I would say definitely, as I'm processing that in my head, I would say definitely that if you have a pay-per-booking listing and people went and booked direct anyways, they're still going to try to capture that back with matchback because that's what they're trying to avoid. Comment here, we spoke with our HomeAway rep. We spoke with HomeAway Hire Management, and they told us they have ability to look at all software API feeds to see lead origination, and will charge Property Manager for direct bookings as well as bookings on other OTA sites. We'll use Streamline. So that conversation from Joanne, that's news to me, and that's part of why I talked to other property management software before preparing for today. So Joanne is saying she talked to HomeAway's Hire Management, and they told her matchback will apply to all property management systems, not just HomeAway's property management software. So that's news to me. If that's the case, I will definitely follow up on that and try to get some more answers there. But from what I understand, that is not what I've come to learn so far. Obviously, Joanne's got different information from HomeAway's upper management. Question here, if someone only searches on HomeAway VRBO, then they won't have the email. I'm not following your question there, Steve, but happy to answer that if I can. Email is only entered if they actually inquire, not if they just search. Well, if they are a past HomeAway customer, if they have ever submitted an inquiry on HomeAway, they have their email address. If they've captured that at any point, they track that and track people coming back again and again and again. If they have never given HomeAway their email, you're right, then they won't have their email. They won't have any way to do that. But if they have ever given it, they track those customers over their lifespan with the platform, not just one time they're doing a search. Question here, from what you understand, is this for only HomeAway software and not for software that's integrated with HomeAway? Again, answered that question later on in the presentation, I guess after that was asked. Question from Ann, actually we've already answered that question from Ann. For VRs who use a third-party listing site like Red Awning, will they be charged a 10% fee in addition to the commission they're paying for the third-party listing site? Question from Angie. I don't know the answer to that question, Angie. From what Joanne said earlier with her comment, the information she got is yes, they will, or yes, you will. You will be charged that regardless of where the booking came from. Based on Joanne's comment, I can't confirm or deny either of those two things. I don't know. That's something you need to ask your HomeAway rep to be sure. What are your thoughts on if we just start removing email addresses in V12? Yes, this is scary for us, and we would have to do manual work, keep track of those email addresses, but it's something we were thinking of doing. If they can't see the email address in V12, can they still match back? Also, do you know if they are still planning on implementing secure messaging when you're not yet affected by secure messaging? Yes, absolutely. They are still implementing secure messaging. It is almost completely implemented across the platform. Surprised that you're not. We do have a few people we know of that have not been impacted by it, that have kept us in the loop on that, but they are still in the process of rolling out secure messaging. And then idea to eliminate email addresses from V12. I don't know. I mean, it's an idea. It's something to try. I don't know if it will work or not, but give it a try and let me know. It's again, there's a lot of how they're doing those matchbacks. They've said it's based on email and similar search dates, but there's a lot to that, and it's really hard to know. How will HomeAway know if the offsite booking does not originate with Airbnb, Booking.com, or some other OTA channel? I have no idea, Judy. I don't know how they're gonna figure that out. Is there speculation that HomeAway will move towards 10% commission for pay-per booking customers whose software is not HomeAway or Escapia? Question there from Shirley. I would say absolutely there's speculation. I would say it's probably, in my opinion, I am speculating, but I'd say it's past that. I would say that they're definitely moving to a pay-per booking world. What that percentage will be it be 8%, 10%, 12%? Will it be 15 or 20? I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. It might be 10% because they've chosen 10% for this rollout for some reason. We don't know why they chose 10%, but they did. Question here from Susan. Will HomeAway rank non-HomeAway software properties lower? I don't believe that's the case, Susan. Nothing that I've seen makes me believe that, but I don't know. I can't answer that question matter-of-factly. So just to confirm, if we are not using HomeAway software, we use Streamline. The matchback does not apply to us, correct? Question from Janelle. I'm sure many of you have that question. I don't know. That's my understanding. I have asked that question of Streamline, and they have told me they don't think this impacts Streamline customers. And to their point, well, I'm not going to give you the percentage they were sure, but they were pretty confident this will not impact Streamline customers. But you need to reach out to Streamline and ask that question. I can't give you a matter-of-fact answer. Can just tell you, to my best understanding, this does not impact other property management software. That's different, again, from what someone else commented on earlier that I read aloud. If you don't have Escapia V12 or any booking platform due to being such a small PM, will this affect our ability to deny the matchback fee? Question from Candace. If you're small enough that you don't have a property management system in place, then I don't think you would be subject to matchback, because they'd have no way of matching. They'd have no way to figure that out. They can't look into your email account. They can't listen in on your phone calls. So in that case, Candace, I don't think you'd be subject to matchback, because they'd have no way of figuring it out. So if they can find a way to figure it out, they will. But they can't hack your email account. So I think you'd be good to go there if you don't use a PMS. Question from Judy. So we need to suggest a guest to reach R with a totally separate email address if they look for properties on our website or other channels. That's a potential strategy, Judy, to use a different email address. I'm not saying it's a good one, but it's a potential one. To me, it feels a bit slimy and could cause you other issues with the guest of them thinking you're somehow a scam artist or something. Question from Erica. Do you know if these policies will apply to pay-per-booking models? I believe so, Erica. Yeah, absolutely, but I don't know for sure. Question from Megan. So Matchback is only for vacation managers that use HomeAway's software, not, for example, Streamline customers. We got the email about this Matchback and we use Streamline. Are they going to apply this to all software? Good question, Megan, and appreciate you asking that. Again, I don't know for sure. I would ask Streamline that question. As soon as I got information, I reached out to Brett over there. Brett's a good friend and a great guy, and made him aware just so he knew what was going on. And our conversation has led me to some of the conclusions I've given you today. But again, I can't tell you for sure. You've got to reach out to them, and they have to get their own answer for that. Question, what is PMS software? Property management software. So if you're a newer property manager, maybe only have a couple properties, you might not have a PMS software or property management software. You may be off of it, so that's great. Well, it's great that this may not affect you in this way if you don't have it. Another question from Susan, is there any thought that HomeAway may reach out to shoppers on their site to see if they eventually book somewhere else? They might. We have seen other marketplaces do that. Hey, did you buy this item somewhere else so we can stop marketing it to you? But I don't think they're going to make a manual process. Well, they would still automate that process, but I don't think that's how they're going to do matchback. But I don't know. I mean, it's a potential. Any word for a VR company? Any word if a VR company is on the commission plan that HomeAway will negotiate on the matchback? You can try. I doubt it. I doubt they'll negotiate on this, but you can definitely try. I mean, I would try to negotiate anything you can. How do we know they won't penalize and bury our listings if we switch? I mean, you could definitely ask a customer who's on a different PMS if they feel like their listings are ranked lower because they're on a different PMS. Supposedly, and that's not a part of their best match or their new algorithm to rank properties. They show you the criteria they show you where you rank through their new Accelerate program and all that. So I don't think it would, but you never know. You just never know. Any rumblings from Airbnb to respond with an increase in their pay-per-booking? No, we haven't. I haven't reached out to anybody at Airbnb to ask, but I haven't heard that. Now, I do predict Airbnb will increase their pay-per-booking fees in the future. I think once they get enough market share and they're not focused on growing number of listings, they're focused on monetizing listings they have, you will see increases in the future from Airbnb's pay-per-booking percentages. That's my personal opinion. You see that strategy a lot. You see a move into a market, grab market share, and then increase price. Go in at a low price, grab market share, and increase price. So it would make sense and match up with previous strategies used by other businesses, but you never know. Should I switch my listings to Airbnb? That wasn't mentioned on the presentation. Whether you list on Airbnb, I would say is a different conversation than should you switch. Whether you should be on Airbnb is a conversation you've got to look at and make as part of your overall marketing plan and how you're going to market your listings, and it's a market by market conversation. If you read where the different platforms are strong, Airbnb is strong and a heavy urban population historically, and HomeAway tends to be much stronger, and where their really foundation is in the traditional vacation destinations, ski and beach markets. We see Airbnb much stronger, for example, in the Charleston market. We're headquartered in Charleston, South Carolina. It's an urban market. Airbnb is stronger here than HomeAway is, but HomeAway is picking up traction in urban markets as well, as is Airbnb's picking up market in traditional vacation, beach, and ski destinations. So you got to make that decision on whether you should list with Airbnb, and then that's one decision. And then the decision on should I switch is, should I stop listing on HomeAway and only list on Airbnb? That's a separate decision. If someone only searches, then there will be no email address to match back. I think we answered that question earlier, and I think, Steve, thank you for the clarification. I think I got it figured out where you were going with that, and got that question answered, but thank you for the clarification. Question from Julie. They are not able to answer that. What happens if you have an Airbnb? So somebody asked earlier, if someone books on another OTA, how do they match that back? They're not able to answer that right now. Apparently they don't know. Trying to read these before we go over them to help answer as much of this as possible without re-answering the same questions. Lots of feedback in the chat panel. So trying to help filter through this as best we can and get everybody's questions answers. Do you think they will cap the 10% like they do the fees? I don't know. There's been no indication that fee would have a cap. That it's just been 10% across the board is what we come to know so far. So if they get people okay with that, then there's no reason for them to come back and cap it and lower that fee. So I would say no would be my inclination to that. Do I think they will cap the 10% fee, meaning that it would have a cap as a dollar amount, that the percentage stays the same, but it would cap off at some dollar amount? I don't think that, but I don't know for sure. We see inquiries from guests for the same unit from multiple OTAs, VRBO, Airbnb, TripAdvisor. Just wondering what would happen if the guest booked through one of the other OTAs. Yeah. John, we're all wondering, and unfortunately, we still don't have answers on that one yet. A follow-up from Steve, you're saying that if someone enters an email, they can tell if that person does a search later. Yes, absolutely. They can tell if someone does a search later on their platform. If someone enters an email address, they can tell if they come back and search later through tracking on their platform. Their technology enables them to do that, and that's a really important part of their technology and how they try to filter up listings that match. And if you want to see how that works, TripAdvisor is more upfront with how that works as far as you see it working, because they've been at that a lot longer. So if you're logged into TripAdvisor, they have your email, you can see that a lot more, and you can see the emails that trigger based off of things that you do. Somebody's saying, I've been down this path before with Escapia when they had network partners. They just charge you anytime they think there's a match, regardless of whether it really is. Yeah, I've heard that as well from some of our customers, and think that's probably where it's going. Comment, it's never wise to let your OTA have control over your guest information. I would agree with that. That's why that's one of the things we teach a lot on our webinar series. So if this is your first webinar you've joined us for, I encourage you to come back. We teach webinars on a bi-monthly basis to help. I should have given you more of a bio at the top of the hour. Sorry I didn't do that. Comment here from Sunny. We are on Streamline, and we've been told by upper management that we are subject to the 10% matchback. Where is everyone going to put their listings if they leave HomeAway? We are trying to grow organically, but 25% of bookings come from HomeAway. Is there another popular site that PMs are moving to besides TripAdvisors? Can you share? Great question, Sunny. I think the only one that we know of for sure, obviously, is Airbnb. Everybody knows about it. A lot of people are seeing success with that. And if you're looking to replace it, that might be a way. That might be a way to go. Upper HomeAway management is another comment, but Upper HomeAway management has said what you need to do is convert more off-platform bookings to on-platform bookings. Of course, they're saying that because it all comes back to a service fee grab. That's what they're trying to do. What about international markets? We are getting ready to go live in Costa Rica. Best I know, this applies to all markets. I don't think they're excluding international, but I haven't asked that specific question. Several comments here. Great job on the research. Appreciate it. Absolutely. I hope this was helpful for you. Not just what's going on, but why are they doing it? What does the future look like? And what are options for you? And as your takeaway from that, I think the number one option is you need to continue to get independent. You need to continue to grow your independence from their platform and get more and more direct bookings. And you need to be investing in yourself. You need to bet on your own horse at the races. Invest in yourself, because that's the future of successful entrepreneurs, is those that are investing in themselves. Here's a comment from Kimberly. I was told by my account manager that they will only match for the past 30 days. So if they inquired in the past 30 days, they could get charged the 10% commission. But if they inquire, say, 6 months ago, they will not be charged the 10%, but who knows? Yeah. That's the first I've heard that, Kimberly. So I haven't heard that from any other reps, but who knows? I mean, you've been told that. Seems like there's a lot of, and this is the hardest part, is it doesn't seem like anyone at HomeAway quite knows what's going on and how this is going to be implemented and everything else. So with that, we want to wrap up. Hopefully we got to your question in the chat panel. If not, my contact information is on the screen there. Happy to answer as much as we can for you. We will also be sending a copy of this recording out to everyone who registered. Again, if you want to take advantage of that free marketing consultation to help you build your 2018 plan, maybe you checked no on the poll, but you've since changed your mind, or you didn't vote on the poll because you were away from your computer, but you want to take advantage of that. My email address is on the screen. Email me, and we'll get you connected with a member of our team to take advantage of that. Good luck, everyone, as you're working through this. Please do keep us in the loop. Let us know how we can be of service. Building out your website, building out your marketing strategy, and working towards listing site independence is the number one thing you can do. All the changes aside, you don't have to stress out when they change things if you're independent, or if you're almost independent, or if you're less dependent. So get on the journey to independence. Wherever you are, start working that direction. And that's the biggest thing you can do to insulate yourself from this change, as well as all of the other changes that we know are coming. Thanks everybody for your time. We look forward to talking to you again soon, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.